Hey everyone, I'm Aaron. That's my identical twin brother, Adam. You're in a baseball brouhaha, which means coffee and a daily baseball trivia fracas. Adam, you've got something dialed up for us. We're talking expansion teams. What do we
That's
got?
right. Repping my D-backs jersey, one of the newer expansion teams in Major League Baseball. But our question today is: since 1961, which is the what's called the expansion era,
Yeah.
which expansion team made the playoffs in the fewest number of seasons? And this question comes to us from some breaking news from Jeff Passan, talking about a possible expansion team in Salt Lake City. News to me, but
Mm-hmm.
we'll see where it goes. More to come on that topic in a bit. But here's
Yeah.
our question for today. Which expansion team made the playoffs the fastest? The Arizona Diamondbacks, Colorado Rockies, Kansas City Royals, Miami Marlins, or the New York Mets?
Yeah, this one I was thinking through these teams. The struggle is the Royals and Mets. I have a little bit less familiarity. Um, I know the Mets won it within 10 years or so. I know both the Marlins and D-backs were there and won it within about 4 year stretch. But I actually went Rockies. They hit expansion '93 and were in the playoffs in '95. They got swept in the first round, I believe, but I believe they made it in '95. So I'm going playoffs Rockies '95.
And I went the Diamondbacks on this one. I know that they were established in '98. I know they won the World Series in 2001,
Yeah,
and it seems like unlikely they would just like pop on the scene and then all of a sudden win. That they had to work up to it.
that's
So
fair.
I went with the Diamondbacks on this one.
Okay.
Well, let's take a peek. Checking the notes here. The correct answer is the Diamondbacks
Oh,
who
okay.
who made who made the playoffs in their second season. So
Okay.
1999, they made the playoffs. The Rockies were second,
Third
so
season, right?
third season,
Yeah. Okay.
and shortly behind them were the Miami Marlins in their fifth season.
Their fifth season. It's
Yeah.
'97, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that one that's interesting because that was their first year and they won it in
They did.
'97. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, they also that was the first of their um, let's get all the all stars together, and then we win the World Series, and then we destroy it all immediately afterwards. So
Yeah.
that was round one of two of that right there.
Yeah, the Marlins that was their style early on.
Yeah.
So that was our conversation on who had the shortest wait to get to the playoffs, but who
Mhm.
had the longest wait. Um, this one was fascinating. So the Texas Rangers franchise had the longest wait, 35 years. They had to wait.
What and so what year was that they I know they like it was mid 2000s they had a nice not mid 2011ish like in that window they had a little bit of a run made it to the series had some epic battles with the Cardinals there but when did they first make the playoffs?
So they were established in 69, I believe. So what
Yeah.
are we doing math here? 94, 93,
Yeah,
93,
sure.
maybe?
Okay.
Because there were no playoffs in
No,
94.
yeah, 94, no playoffs. Okay,
Yeah.
sure. All right, that's good. I like our on the fly math that we got rolling here. So, but in addition to longest wait, we have a number of teams that took a ways. Basically, the entire American League West
Yeah.
really struggled. I mean, the Astros are on this list. They were NL Central for pretty much all of this. Stretch, but the American League West has experienced its run of futility.
Yeah. Well, the Angels, Mariners, and Astros franchises each took 18 years to get to their first playoffs.
Hmm.
Plus, you have the Rangers, it took 35 years. So all of the, four of the expansion teams from the expansion era, AL West took a long time. So
They did, yeah,
what a time to be alive for those
yeah.
franchises.
And on top of that, we have we're going to move into the World Series here because I feel like the American League West has had its share of World Series futility, including our Seattle Mariners topping that list. They have not made it yet. So, but you have a little bit of more info on that.
Yeah, well, the Mariners are the only franchise to never make a World Series appearance.
Yes. Yeah.
And then all of the teams that have never won a World Series are franchise era teams. So we have the
Yeah.
Padres, Rockies, Rangers, Rays, and Brewers. Yet
Mm-hmm.
the
To win
Arizona
one.
Diamondbacks, 4 years it took them. That's wild.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but then the trick is getting back. So they
That's yeah. They're working on it. They got
work on it. Yeah.
some young talent coming
Yeah.
their way.
I hear their nickname is, or at least in some circles, is the baby backs.
The baby backs. That's a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Reminds me of eating some ribs, but,
That's
um, so what? So we're talking. There's a lot of discussion around expansion. I hadn't heard this about Salt Lake City. Most of the news that I hear revolves around Oakland and Tampa Bay and the fact that they need to get things sorted out. Both of those franchises are sort of a mess in terms of stadium situation. Oakland, last year, I mean, I think you have more fans at most minor league games than you had at a lot of Oakland games. Tampa, similar situation. They've been successful, but their stadium is just so poorly located that it's really difficult for fans to actually see them play. So tell me what you're learning about Salt Lake. This was a curious one for me. I've not heard Salt Lake in the mix.
Yeah, and I threw this on there as more like a is Salt Lake City really the best place MLB wants to go?
Yeah,
Uh,
right.
I
Hmm.
mean, it's like when I think about Oakland, it feels inevitable that they're going to end up in Las Vegas, which
Yeah,
is a city that I think could do well with an MLB team. But there are plenty of other cities that I would pick before Salt Lake City.
sure.
Uh, Charlotte, New Orleans, San
Nashville.
Antonio, Portland. I mean, there are
Yeah.
plenty of other metro areas where
Hmm.
it feels like a better fit for a franchise where there's already, I think it helps to already have a pro team sports base there as well.
Yeah, I mean, you have a little bit there with the NBA, but it's like you don't have an NFL team there. So that's a tough one. This is this mix too because like we love to see more expansion west and see more teams in the west, which would really help the travel for teams like Seattle, Oakland, Denver, or sorry, Colorado. But at the same time, the population base in the west is so thin, and it's the geography. I mean, it's difficult. I mean, Salt Lake City, it's a good sized metropolis area, but like but outside of that, the population base is so small that it's really difficult to expand west. As much as I would love to see that, it makes it a little difficult right now.
I agree. Yeah. Yeah. Well, speaking of expansion, we're moving into expanding into story
Story
time
time.
here. All right. Well, to kick off story time here, I remember when we were young, the creation of the Marlins and Rockies, and uh,
Hmm.
and because there had never been an expansion in our lifetime before that, I didn't have any idea what that would be like.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just one of the things that I remember, and I don't know why this like hung with me so long, is we were baseball card collectors
Yeah.
and we would always organize the teams and whatever. And I was
Hmm.
always dismayed that the Marlins pile had
Yeah.
like 15 cards, while the Angels pile or the Mariners pile or whatever had like 1,200 cards.
Yeah.
And I wanted all the teams to be even.
Yeah. Relatively so, for sure.
Yeah. And so it was hard to collect and keep the team balance going.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it took a while for that to kind of recoup a little bit. Fortunately, we did a lot of collecting in the '90s, so we got some there. My first memory, every time I think of expansion, my first memory is on the playground. So we were like fifth grade-ish when this all went down, fourth, fifth grade, when this was starting to come out. And I remember being on the playground with a kid who is kind of a marginal friend. His name is Eric, and we're talking about the Marlins and in expansion. I remember him and I having this conversation. That's about all I remember, is just him and I kind of hamming it about. And the other thing I remember too, just random is somewhere in that realm. Marlins are a fairly new franchise, and I remember going to Gart Sports. So Gart Sports in Moscow, Idaho, has been
Yeah.
long gone. Now the food co-op. But I remember this guy. He had a Marlins hat, and he was wearing his hat like this kind of deal. And I was just like, "Bro, you can't be wearing your hat like that." And I remember distinctly the Marlins hat. But here's the deal: 30th anniversary of these expansion teams, and the Marlins have been wearing, I think on Fridays, have been wearing their throwback unis, and it's
Yeah.
been pretty sick.
Yeah.
I love the old, the original colors. I know their new color scheme is more hip and cool, but I dig in the F with the Marlin fish jumping through there. So
Yeah.
so you can
Funny
enjoy that.
F Marlin fish hat story. So uh, the friend of a friend heard this story secondhand. Had purchased a Marlins hat,
Hmm.
but was not a baseball fan. Had no clue what they were buying. They just liked the hat.
Yeah.
And the friend was like, "Oh, you got a Marlins hat?" And he's like, "What? No, I don't know. It's just a hat." They said, "Well, it's the F. It means Florida." And the guy said, "Oh, I thought it was F for fish."
Winning, winning.
But at least they got the cool hat. But yeah, it's
Yeah,
really fun to see the Marlins uniforms. The nostalgia is thick.
yeah, indeed, indeed. Well, folks, that's going to do it for story time. That's going to do it for our show today. Thanks for joining us. A special thanks to MLB, Stathead, and Jeff Paston for dropping this news. If you got a burning question, put it in the comments below or find us on Twitter. Subscribe, like, join us tomorrow. We'll be back at it. Thanks, everybody.